Donald Trump held delivered a speech at the White House, and this is the first time he's spoken publicly since he threw the country and world into chaos with this. We're going to try to cut off all funding, essentially, and do so illegally. And then a judge came in and said, you can't do that, after lawsuits were immediately brought, all in the span of 24 hours. And so then OMB director sends out a new memo saying, okay, we're rescinding that. Never mind. And just total confusion. We'll get into that more in a different segment. But here Trump delivered remarks before a signing ceremony. And given sort of the substance of the two things, we'll talk about separately what the signing ceremony was about. But here you have Trump again telling a lie to justify the halt of all federal funds except for, Social Security, Medicare, and the confusion that surrounded that. And he justifies it by telling the condom lie again, that a bunch of money was spent on condoms in Gaza when that wasn't true. We did a whole segment on it. And it's been fact-checked thoroughly before he came out for this speech at the White House. If you appreciate the show, please do click the subscribe button.
The big bureaucracy where there has been tremendous waste and fraud and abuse. In that process, we identified and stopped $50 million being sent to Gaza to buy condoms for Hamas. 50 million. And you know what's happened to them? They've used them as a method of making bombs. How about that? We stopped an attempt to make an illicit...
What? How do you... Because we just did a whole segment about this and how it's a lie and the details of it and the real number being $0. But how this made its way all the way to the president makes sense because Trump's always using faulty information. But really, you're going to insult the public? And you know what? Like I said, there's more sensitivity to it, but the Laken Riley Act is what was being signed. And we'll talk about the substance in today's members only bonus show of what's in that legislation. But the tragedy that the namesake is in honor of, being Laken Riley, who was murdered, the person happened to be an undocumented immigrant. And so it's an immigration related bill. But the family of Laken Riley, who do support the legislation, but they have gone through this absolute tragedy, and Trump's using that speech to tell more of his lies. To me, there's something fundamentally disrespectful about that as well. And then insulting to the entire American public, saying, I know all of your lives could have been upended and we were all waiting for them to be, and there was total chaos. But don't worry, it's okay because here's a lie about condoms. A non-existent thing. Trust me, if you're a YouTube viewer, you'll be able to find which segment we talked a bunch about that. We titled it very specifically. And that's the justification. And we don't know if he's able to win in court. Is he going to bring back the freeze or what? Here's more of his statement on it.
Thank you. In addition, there was a short-term pause or funding freeze on certain discretionary spending payments, such as government grants, only for us to quickly look at the scams, dishonesty, waste, and abuse that's taken place in our government for too long. As was explicitly stated, this in no way affected Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, or other entitlements that Americans depend on. I've made abundantly clear from the very first day that I ran from office, that was a long time ago now, that's 2015. If you think about it, I announced in 2015 and we won in 2016. We did very well in 2020, but we did really well just recently. And I'm restating right now to correct any confusion that the media has purposely and somehow, for whatever reason, created. Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid have not been affected by any action we're taking in any way, shape, or form. We are merely looking at parts of the big bureaucracy where there has been tremendous waste and fraud and abuse. In that process, we identified and stopped 50 million.
And that gets into the clip that we already watched. So notice that he says Medicare, Social Security, and Medicaid. he's wrong. They're saying, oh, that must have been a coincidence. But the shutdown of states' ability to access their Medicaid portals exactly when this shutdown of funds happened is not a coincidence, okay? And officials from within the government are telling us as much, and people from within OMB and OPM and across the government independently coming out and saying this memo that did explicitly call for the halting of all of these federal grants and loans, and it is causing all of us to, are we about to shut down all of these programs? And so because of that, which he's not even assuring us that all of the programs I listed, I didn't even get to Medicaid yesterday until we got the news that those portals had gone down in all 50 states. But before then, I was just talking about examples of food for hungry folks, the programs that are funded through grants by the federal government or whatever it might be, the support to veterans, support to homeless, support to elderly, firefighters grants. It just goes on and on and on. He didn't assure us on all those. He said Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security. And no matter how many times his spokespeople repeat this statement of this is all being concocted by the media, it doesn't make any sense because the chaos started before there was even media coverage. It was just a memo that some people obtained and understandably within the government freaked out about. And it was, and don't get this twisted. We're going to talk about it more, like I said, in a different segment today in depth, but it was trying to restrict all these funds. A judge then called that action illegal and forced them to rescind it. You don't get credit for rescinding the thing that the judge told you had to because you were acting illegally, Donald. And no, we don't want trillions of dollars of funds to be frozen, ruining the lives of folks so that you can find a non-existent $50 million in condoms. No. He also told this lie.
The water has now begun flowing in California as we continue to increase the flow in coming days. Nobody's seen anything like that, and I've also taken strong action to regain control of the Washington bureaucracy.
Yes, that's what it's all in the name of, Washington bureaucracy. We can hurt as many people as long as we're taking it to the Washington bureaucracy, but he's just making up stuff about he's bringing back water to California or something. And this is what he does. He lies about a problem so that then he can take credit for a lie version of the solution. It's stunning. He said this as well.
You probably read about Colombia 2 days ago. They said, no, we're not taking them. I said, we're going to take them. You're going to take them. You're going to like it too. You're going to take them.
So remember, the exchange he's talking about is deportees on a plane, and Colombia going, we're not going to accept those because of the treatment. They are being treated in a way that is not to our standard. Trump threatened tariffs. Colombia threatened tariffs. Then they agreed that the U.S. would just send the deportees in the way that Colombia had requested. And then Trump said, ha ha, we forced them. I was a big, strong man. No, they got you could call it a compromise, or they just, what? You just agreed. You both agreed to do the thing that they wanted you to agree to do. It's not bad that you did, but that was the dispute. I forget the exact specifics, but even the type of plane and the shackling and all that. So MAGA taking that as see Trump's alpha energy is already making moves is very confusing. Very, very confusing. So it's still unclear what's to come next on all of this funding confusion. And we will dive into it deeper later, but Trump's public remarks didn't help in the first part of them where he was addressing this. And he also made statements about how successful his administration has been, all these different things, but it did not help to reassure people that the step taken by his OMB is not going to be picked back up when the judge ultimately rules on this. We really don't know. All he's assuring us is that Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security won't be touched, even though we saw the portals go down. But oh my gosh, that's what happens when you deal with such a liar. We will talk more about what this was leading up to, like I said before, in today's bonus show. Let me know your thoughts in the comments.